Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a new video. So my name is Jacob Eastep. I'm a photographer, videographer, YouTuber, student, everything, you name it. And I have today an iPhone 13. This is mine. I got it for my birthday, and I am going to talk a little bit about editing pictures. So I've got some lovely raw files here that I'm going to grab. Got a lovely yellow flower. Let's see here. This will focus. Yep, we've got a lovely yellow flower here. As you can see, it's raw. I've got a picture of the sky. I've got another picture of the sky, which is actually really nice. I've got quite a few pictures, basically, and we're just going to go through and edit them. So we're going to start a screen recording here. 3, 2, 1, and let's get this party started. So as you can see, we're on my home screen. We're just going to go into Lightroom. This guy's actually editing a different picture. We're going to add some photos. So from camera roll, we're just going to scroll down here. I'm actually going to grab one of these macro shots too. Grab a couple of these. Grab one of these flowers. Grab that sky. And grab one of these. And we're also going to grab... Oh, I've edited these already. Okay. We're going to grab a couple of these other ones I have just to play around with and see how they do. So let's add those. Okay, cool. So while these photos are adding, I would like to take a quick minute to talk about our sponsor, No One. Now, while that may sound like I don't have a sponsor, I definitely do. I'm my own sponsor today. So, do you need photos or merchandise that you want to share with beautiful photos? Lucky for you, in a link below, I have my website where I have my entire store and entire selection. I have phone cases, bags, totes, pillows, postcards, computer sleeves, mouse pads, mugs, cups. You name it, I've got it. If I don't have it, I can add it to the store. So, check it out, linked below. Now, we have the photos imported. Let's go ahead and edit. So, we're just going to start here with this lovely yellow flower here. Now, as you can see, it's yellow, so we're going to probably want to pump up our saturation a little bit to bring that out. We're going to add a little contrast, drop our highlights a little bit to get that sky back up there. If it doesn't work, we'll just blow it out, and so it just looks white. We're going to drop our shadows a little bit, pump the blacks, and yeah, so let's go with that. So we're going to drop that. Okay, so it doesn't really help a lot, so we're going to just probably leave that. Now we're going to bump that contrast. We're going to brighten the image up a little bit, drop our shadows, drop the whites. We'll leave whites bright. I thought about dropping them, but I didn't because I want to be able to still make some definition and form background. So we're going to warm it up just a touch, make it a little bit greener, not a lot, just a hair, -1, and we're going to saturate just a hair. Okay, we're going to go back to white because I'm seeing this top edge right here, it's a little blown out, so we're going to go here, we're going to drop that down just a hair. Actually, we're going to drop it down the whole way because it actually helps a lot. Okay, so that's that. We're also going to expose just a touch more. Bring these shadows up. Okay, bring the shadows up. And drop these whites. So it really takes a lot of just going back and forth. And this photo may not be perfect. Of course, we're just going to add a quick dehage, see what that does. I think that really adds some niceness. We're going to add a vignette. Just a touch. And we're going to feather it. Because then you can see it there. It's just a circle, right? So we're going to feather that out just a hair. And we're going to add a little grain. Because why not? You can add a lot of grain. You can add no grain. We're going to add 37% grain. And we're going to make it a little rougher. Not that rough. Thank you. Okay, cool. So we're going to zoom out and detail. Let's see here. We're going to sharpen a little bit, drop the radius, add the detail, turn up noise reduction just a hair. Now that may seem counterintuitive because we just added grain. However, I think it helps balance it all a little bit, so we're going to add that. Cool. So not a lot to change with this photo. We are going to go back over here to crop. We're going to let this straighten it, see what it does, and then we're going to crop it into a 4x5. Instagram. Nice. and we're going to export that to our camera roll. Good to go. Now the next photo we're going to do is one in a pine tree. Now this photo has been edited previously, just a hair, but we're going to still just come back and edit it. So you can see we've bumped up our contrast. It's a little dark, so we're going to brighten it up a little bit. Shadows are going to come up just a touch more. Drop these whites all the way. Drop the blacks. And then we're going to warm it up. Pump it over to the green side, just a hair. Now that's a little much, that's -17, so we're going to make that like a -4 tint towards green. Cool. And while we're here, we're going to saturate just a touch. And I'm actually going to go ahead and crop it because I know what I'm going to use this for, which is going to be a 4x3 for Instagram. And I just want it, well actually we're going to make it a, yeah, we're going to 3x4. Okay, cool. So that's actually what that's going to look like. So that's nice and cropped. Now we're going to go over to effects. Dehaze it just a touch. A little more vignette. Feather it a little more. And bring in some grain. So, you may think this photo looks really edited, but it is, and I'll give you that. But it's something I prefer to do, so we're going to do that. Oh, whoops, wrong way. There we go. Okay, so there we got a great looking image. And that is all we're going to do for that photo. Now that photo I wanted to keep a little bit more green because it was a rainy day and I wanted to kind of keep that feel in the photo. So that's really all we did with that photo. Not a lot, and I know I kind of breezed over it, but there really wasn't a lot to do. So let's look at this photo here. Now this photo is interesting. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to take a minute to look at it here. We can see the back's blown out a little bit, but it still has some blue, so I think if we drop the highlights, we'll be able to save some of that. We've got some good depth. We have this front thing that's blurred out beautifully. We've got that pine cone in the top center right here that's fairly in focus for this photo. This branch is focused, sort of. So I'm probably going to dehaze this one just to see what it does. Okay, so this is completely blown out. There's no saving that back there. Okay, that's fine. So, pull up the contrast. I'm actually going to go straight to dehaze and see what it does. Okay, so not really vibing with that. What if we drop our shadows? What if we drop the blacks, keep the shadows? It really becomes a game of how do you want the photo to look and how much you want to play with it. So, a little green. And sometimes you just need to come back to it. So that one I'm going to come back to. Okay, let's jump over here to the sky. Now, I could do a full sky replacement, but I could also not. And I would rather not do a sky replacement if I don't have to, because they're fun to do. However, why would I do that when I can just work with it? And I think this one is perfectly fine. So we're going to drop the contrast, we'll add the contrast, brighten the shadows, brighten the whole image just a touch, so we can come back and pump the blues in the sky, which is what we're about to do actually. So now we can go into blue, bring that, good. Okay, so some people really like pumping the luminance up to make it look a little wider. I prefer actually bringing it down a touch because it brings out the blues, and I don't think that looks too crazy, because then we can go over and balance that actually with a little bit of dropping the contrast. I'm going to make that a little more, though. I'm going to make it like a -9. There we go. And then on these greens, we're going to brighten them up a little bit. I like starting with an overexposed image and then dropping the exposure a little bit. Okay, so there's that. Now let's... Okay, cool. So now let's drop our contrast a little bit. Bring our highlights back up. Bring up the shadows just a hair more. Nice. So now we have this image, and I actually think this looks really good. It's a little brighter, but if we look before to now, I think this really helps those greens pop more and look a little more springy. The shadows might be a little bit high, but I actually think it looks really good, and this really brings out the sky, as you can see. So I'm actually going to keep it like this. I am actually going to bring the shadows down just a hair. There we go, I think that's better. Okay, now we're going to not do that. We could do a big vignette. We're not going to though. So see, that's what Dehaze would do on this photo, and I'm not going to do that. Let's add a. This one, we're not gonna add it yet. That little grain. Cool. I think that's kind of all we're gonna do for this photo. Like, that's a big difference, and I think it looks really good. So we're just gonna go ahead and straighten that photo, tell it to get rid of any weird. Oh, so it doesn't see anything straighten. That's fine. Go and do that 4x5 and save that. Oh, actually, there we go. Save that image. There we go. Beautiful. Now we're gonna go ahead and jump onto this next photo, which is going to be this yellow flower. Now, as you can see, it actually is really nice looking. I'm gonna turn on some noise reduction to get rid of this weird haloing around the image, but that's fine. So we can bump our contrast, bump our exposure, drop our highlights. Actually, get that down a little bit. This one's hard because it's so pulled away from. Yeah, no. Okay, cool. It's so pulled away from the background that you can't balance it really with anything. So this photo is honestly not a lot we can do. We can add feather. This is acting like it's a JPEG, and that's something I have noticed. That's all I'm gonna do because there's not much I can do. That is something I have noticed with taking a RAW on this as opposed to an actual camera, is that sometimes the RAW is acting like a JPEG, and there's just not much you can do. Okay, so here I brought up this rose. Okay, so this is the before. Here's the after. Now it's very subtle. You can tell it's very subtle. There's not a lot I did with this photo. However, it did make the rose pop a little more. So let's talk about what I did. I started by adding a little more contrast and dropping the highlights. Why? Well, if I bring the highlights back up, you can't see the water drops as well. And I wanted to get a little more contrast in the photo. And so I added my contrast I wanted, and then had to drop the highlights to bring those back. I also brought up the whites to make the flower pop a little more. And then I went through a little bit of normal color correction, which I'm actually going to add to. We'll bring up the purples and reds a little bit more. There we go. I think that looks great, actually. Okay. So even just going back over an image, I think is something that's great because it allows you to see what you've done before and then maybe just even re-edit a little bit. So like this looks wildly different. So we're going to go ahead and straighten. That does. Good, good, good. And we're exporting. I'm actually going to add this one to a store for a client who wants this on a mug. Now, let's talk about this leaf. This leaf is weird. Why is that? Well, because it's a cool photo, but it's going to be hard to edit. Because the lighting was really weird. So I can go in here. This one I'm going to drop the saturation. Because this one I'm not sure, because I think this looks fine, but I'm also just not in love with this photo. Sometimes I'll just take going over the sliders and I'm like, what looks good? I don't know. We'll come back to him. So here's an example of when a RAW photo does not work well taken from an iPhone. And this would have done a lot better on my actual camera. This photo here it's a cool photo and I could edit it. However, if I go in here and drop the highlights, this, as you can see here, the lamp was too blown out. And so there's not really much we can do to recover it. So no matter what we do, it's just going to be this white orb. And so you could play with that and get it to work for you. However, this is just something you're going to need to think about as you're editing your image. A little oversaturated. There we go. That's a nice spot. Okay, this is looking like a kind of antique photo, which I think looks really cool. We're gonna add a little bit of texture because it's nice. And here we're gonna add a bunch of grain. Doing a big chunky grain roughness. That's disgusting. Cool. So that's cool. Now we're going to go to detail, go ahead and sharpen it. Nice. Turn off noise reduction. And I think this is what, well actually I'm not a vignette. Now why? I love my vignettes and you can tell. But I think this one actually could benefit from one. Like look at this difference. It looks a lot more antique, it looks a lot, I think it has a really cool look to it, so we're just going to go with that. So we're going to export that to a camera roll. So with that being said, I would just thank you for coming by and watching me edit some videos today on my brand new iPhone 13 Pro through Lightroom. Every single photo you saw in this video was taken on this device. Yeah, so if you liked the video, be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe while you're at it. It's completely free and it's awesome. When you do hit that bell, because you might, come on, you should, be sure to say all notifications as opposed to just some, because if you don't, YouTube will not alert you when I upload a new video or a new short or stream. So, be sure to comment down below what you want to see in an upcoming video, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy, fam. Peace.